With Rink Wide's Jeff Paterson, our Canucks reporter, after a 10-1 drubbing of the San Jose Sharks last night. Jeff, you've covered a lot of Canucks hockey games over 25 years. Where does this one rank in terms of your most memorable, your most outlandish?
Yeah, I guess it would have to be up there. And had to go digging through the record books to find the last time they hit double digits. And of course, I'd done a little bit of homework on opening night when they got to 8, and we thought maybe they would get to 10 against the Edmonton Oilers. But I mean, 10 games into the season, guys, a 10-goal outburst, 8, the 5-0 shutout against the St. Louis Blues. You know, obviously opening face-off brawl with Torts and the Flames, and we're coming up on the 10-year anniversary of that. Some of the heroics of Daniel and Henrik in the heyday. I mean, there's a handful of games, but yeah, double digits doesn't happen very often in today's NHL, and certainly not for this organization. So very close to running out of fingers and thumbs to count all the goals there. I know we won't spend much time on the Sharks, but what a disaster. But in saying that, like, I do think it's important to note that the Canucks see them twice more this month and again in the game before Christmas. And I saw somebody on Twitter point out the Calgary Flames don't see the San Jose Sharks until February. Like, these are valuable points to put in the bank now. And certainly I know there was talk of a trap game. That went out the window 2 minutes or 4 minutes in, or whatever the case. But the Canucks just have to do that again and again and again to the Sharks and take all of those points. And if you're a team like Calgary, you're going to be playing better opponents during that time. You know, your reprieve comes late in the season, but it may be too late by then to grab those types of points. So the schedule, in some ways, doing the Canucks a favor. We didn't know that at the outset of the season, just how bad the Sharks were going to be, but my goodness, they are horrible.
Well, and of course, you know, that Calgary schedule versus San Jose, we have been through it many times, right? Like, the points at the beginning of the season are almost more important than the ones at the end, because they can be meaningless if you're so far out of it. 1 goal off the club record, 31 years since they've put up that many. You say we're not going to spend a lot of time on the Sharks, but I was going to ask you, does 10-1 say more about Vancouver, or does it say more about San Jose?
Well, to me, the moment was the 6-0 goal when Kuzmenko collided with Kakkonen. And I noted on Twitter, and I saw some of the San Jose writers noting the same thing. Kuzmenko immediately goes to the goaltender to check on him. And then the other Canucks that are on the ice, they come around, they congratulate Kuzmenko, but they're inquiring about the health of the goaltender. The officials on the ice are there, and there isn't a single San Jose teammate. You've hung this guy out to dry, not just last night, but all season long. Get this. Kakkonen has now made 4 starts. The Sharks have scored 2 goals for the guy. 2 goals in 4 games. And I just don't see it getting any better. Like, I just don't know who's going to provide the offense, I guess, when Logan Couture gets back in there. But, I mean, single-handedly, he's not a game breaker at this stage of his career. So, yeah, I mean, 0-9-1 with 10 goals scored in 10 games. And I don't know where it goes from here, except it's a long season. I mean, building was half full to start, and there was almost nobody there at the end of the game, and I can't blame them, but that's going to be a tough sell. Like, sure, the Macklin Celebrini is the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and you want to get all the lottery tickets you can, but there's still 72 games. Half of those are on home ice, and you got to sell that to a market that's been pretty good over the years, let's be honest, and the Sharks have been a pretty decent franchise, but my goodness, like, the warning signs are there that this is historically bad, or could
There's different ways to lose, and they're doing it in a disrespectful way.
Yeah,
honestly.
well, I mean, I'm not sure they're worthy of NHL designation.
No.
Like, I think if you put up NHL hockey game on the marquee at Madison Square Garden and San Jose is one of the 2 teams, that's false advertising. This is effectively an AHL team. Well, you mentioned Macklin Celebrini. He's, of course, a former
San Jose
junior Shark.
I mean, I know every team wants the free 2 points on the board, and yet, I mean, I wonder if it affects attendance as the San Jose Sharks or the visitors elsewhere. Like, if this goes around, like, are people excited to go see this game? I mean, maybe they're excited to see goals, but
yeah, that's how you bill it. Come see our team,
score
a lot of goals.
Of course, seriously, guys, think of the expectations. The Sharks are here in Vancouver in 3 weeks' time. Like, people literally will see blood in the water there and expect double digits. And I can't sit here and tell you that the Canucks won't get there the way the power play was going, the way their top end guys are going. So, yeah, I mean, there's going to be a morbid curiosity to see how bad the season is and goes for the San Jose Sharks. Again, for the Canucks, I think the fortunate part is they're there on the schedule early. Just do what you have to do. And I think the Canucks deserve credit. Like, putting the hammer down, The first 2 shots on goal, they get the double minor, the power play comes through. And I kind of love the way the game unfolded last night in that the Stars took over in the first period. And there were layers to it. Then it was Mikheyev and Kuzmenko, the next level of scorers on the team. And then they turned the third period over to guys that hadn't scored yet and got theirs as well. And so it was good to see Pius Suter get a goal and Beauvillier in his 500th game. But it was just kind of the natural tears of the scoring in that hockey game last night. Like, I'm not sure the Canucks could have drawn it up any better.
Don't bring up tears. Don't bring up TIERs around Quinn Hughes. That's been a hot button issue. I speak about Boeser in particular because his 2 goals are amazing goals. Like those are goal scorer goals. Those are really, really nice goals. And it's hard to believe we're talking about Brock Boeser in those terms, given where he's been the last few seasons. We haven't been amazed by Brock Boeser at any point. And here he is with 8 goals and a 1T, which we don't see a ton of slappers from Brock Boeser. It was a beauty. And then the hand-eye on the second. I mean, that's just great to see.
It is. And it started on an opening night when he picked his spot and snapped one home past Jack Campbell. And then a few games later in Tampa, early in the second period, when they dug the puck off the end boards, and again, bang, bang. And he was starting to look like that Brock Boeser from his first couple of seasons in the National Hockey League. And so I love the fact that he's not resting on the laurels of the 4-goal game on opening night, that he has been productive since then. And you're right. Like, that one-timer was a thing of beauty. And we've become accustomed to Elias Paterson scoring that goal. JT Miller scores from that point on the ice on the power play quite often. But Brock Boeser in what we used to call his spot, and we thought he was going to feast in the National Hockey League scoring that kind of goal. But he put everything into it and just picked his spot over the shoulder. Again, sort of setting the tone for the hockey game. First shot of the night on the power play. Your best players are into it. They didn't let up. And to see him bunt the puck out of midair, things went the Canucks' way. Like, look, they didn't rely on luck. They didn't win. They weren't fortunate to win last night, but Lafferty got a bounce on his goal. Boeser doesn't probably always score that one out of midair, but he did last night. And so he's up to 8. And we've talked about this already, that if he's going to get to 30, if he's going to eclipse his previous high, now he needs 22 goals over the final 72 games. And for him now, it's, I think, more about just staying healthy and keep doing what you're doing. Because at the outset of the season, guys, I wasn't even sure as a right shot if he was going to feature on this first unit power play. I didn't know what the Canucks were thinking. I'm not sure they did, with the talk of how many cooks in the kitchen running the power play. And somebody had to replace Bo Horvat, and Boeser obviously is among their best offensive weapons. But the right-handed shot, I wasn't sure if that was going to work in his favor. If it did, was he just going to be a net front guy? But the movement and the motion that we have seen through 10 games on that power play, and it's kind of like, you put it in football terms, like they're asking the other team's defenses to cover a whole bunch of guys. And if they want to cover Elias Pettersson, then it's probably going to leave Brock Boeser open. If they want to cover Quinn Hughes, that's going to leave Paterson or JT Miller. Like, the movement and the motion has been spectacular. And to have a guy like Boeser freed up where he was on that spot of the ice and the puck arrive in his wheelhouse, like, that was exactly the way that they had drawn that up.
It looks like old school basketball offense, doesn't it? Like Bob Knight coaching.
Motion
Like
offense.
flashing. Like, it kind of looks like that.
What have you made of the Friedman-Cole pair? And really Mark Friedman at large here since he's come into the Canucks lineup?
Well, he's already given them more games this season than Jack Rathbone was going to. Like, I think we can declare. Sometimes quite often we say, you can't declare a trade a win early on. Mark Friedman's not the perfect hockey player, but he seems to be pretty damn close to perfect for the role that they're asking of him, which is, just keep it pretty simple. It doesn't get scrambly in his end. He and Ian Cole seem to have formed a pretty good bond, and I think Cole, 10 games in plus the preseason and training camp, my observation there is that he's just a pro through and through, and I think is probably a pretty easy guy to play with. And Friedman took a couple for the team last night. Takes the stick in the face to draw the double minor on Nico Sturm, and then that was tough to see late in the game. A blowout game like that, the last thing anybody needs to do is eat a puck the way he did in the third period. But talk about a guy paying the price and doing what he wants, and so he's been a nice addition. I just think there's a sort of simplicity to his game, and for far too many years here, lower in the lineup in the depth chart defensively, it's been a carnival generally in their own zone, and he doesn't seem to spend a lot of time in his own end, and it's relatively quiet. Like, I don't feel that the Canucks have been under siege when he is out there, and so right now it looks like a pretty nice ad at a relatively low price point. And again, with all due respect to Jack Rathbone, but let's think about it. Rathbone, a lefty, like what would have happened or had to have happened for Jack Rathbone to see National Hockey League action this year for the Vancouver Canucks? Christian Wolanin is in the system. Guillaume Brisebois, whenever he gets healthy, he would have been between Jack Rathbone and the NHL. Like, I don't think it was going to happen for Rathbone here. And so if you can flip a player like that and get somebody that you can plug in and address a need over on the right side, like that's turned into a nice kind of a small deal, but it's turned into a bigger deal by the day for the Vancouver Canucks.
Let me ask you our poll question then. Through 10 games, best story on the Vancouver Canucks. Brock Boeser, Phil DiGiuseppe, the Hughes Hronek pair, all the goals. Feel free to go off the board, Jeff.
Yeah, it's tough to pick one. I mean, the Boeser story is a good one. Certainly just the volume of goals, to have 8 goals, 10 games in, and to score them the way that he has. So I like that one. But I think I could sit here and make pretty strong cases for Quinn Hughes just by himself, taking his game to another level. And Elias Paterson, who, again, playing through something. And I love the fact that, they parked him for the most part. 14 minutes last night, still gets 3 assists. So he's racking up points. We talk about some of the trades that this organization has made around the fringes. Like Casey DeSmith has been a really nice story. He's not the best story, but for him to step in and play the way he has and deliver victories, I think Sam Lafferty, every game that I watch him right now, another nice addition for the Vancouver Canucks. And for him to have 3 goals through 10 games, he wasn't brought in to produce a ton of offense, but if you can get contributions lower in the lineup, but his speed and his size and penalty killing tenacity. So there's a lot to go around right now. The vibe in this city, the reaction to this team, there's just an awful lot that's going good for the Vancouver Canucks. So not trying to dodge the question. I think this is a poll question that probably could have had 10 different options, but of the ones you've got there, I think I would vote for Boeser.
I'm not complaining about the way they're playing. It's great. I can complain about the timing of this when it comes to some of the contracts. And Elias Pettersson just continues to heap money onto the back of the Brinks truck. Even a guy like Filip Hronek, guys, he's one of the underrated stories of this season. I think everybody feels like he's playing well, but he's a point per game player too. Like, I mean, it's crazy, and that's only going to add to his price. So it's a shame that you can't freeze these prices on the players for at least one more year.
Well, you can sign them now.
You can. I still don't know. The horse might be out of the barn at this point, but the prices are going up on some of these players right now, Jeff.
Well, look, if Filip Hronek didn't have a single point and had delivered what he had in the first 10 games, I still think you would declare him an absolute terrific addition to this hockey club. But playing with Quinn Hughes and this team scoring the way that it's scoring, I mean, it stands to reason that everybody's going to get points. So in some ways, it's hard to truly evaluate. I mean, they do have to find their level here. The power play is not going to run at 35% all season, but it's where it is right now through 10 games. And for Filip Hronek, his smartest move, just get the puck to Quinn Hughes and you're going to rack up points. You will. Like, I mean, it's science. Put the puck on Hughes' stick and he's either going to score because he's scoring or he's going to set somebody else up and you'll pick up apples along the way. And so, yeah, I kind of thought with the type of player he is, the price point to get him, he had to be a 40-point kind of guy for the Vancouver Canucks this season. And again, the pace is going to slow down here. But if he's going to be a 40-point guy, now he just needs 30 over the final 72 games. I mean, imminently doable, especially if he continues to play with Quinn Hughes. So I've liked an awful lot about Filip Hronek's game. We'll see. I mean, it kind of feels like, just ride it as long as you can. Again, I don't know if that pairing is going to stay together all season. I think there'll be some nights where they figure they have to split them up to counter what other teams have. And you got a good Dallas team coming in. You got the Oilers, and I know there's scuffles, but we know the top end there on Monday. So there's going to be some challenges ahead for this hockey club. But in the here and now, I don't know why you would go away from that pairing that's playing so well. But I do think individually, Filip Hronek has turned out to be a terrific addition. And so, yeah, the meter is running. There's no question. And I guess now the only question is, where will it top out and what will it cost to re-sign him?
They had some game time decisions yesterday. Do you anticipate any changes against Dallas?
Hard to imagine if all of those players were available to Rick Tocchet that you would go away from a lineup that produced 10 goals and played the way it did. That said, they beat Nashville and he made the change and made Dakota Joshua a healthy scratch, which was interesting because he looked like he was going to be a healthy scratch based on practice at Monday. And I think that was the warning that, I'll put you in on Tuesday night, but you better respond. And I don't really think Joshua did. And so I wasn't shocked that he came out. The question is, does he get back in? And keep in mind, too, that right now it kind of feels like it's Jack Studnicka, it's Dakota Joshua. It kind of looks like Nils Höglander has solidified his spot in the lineup on a nightly basis in the short term. But Teddy Blueger is going to get back in here. And so when he does, it's not just going to be one of those guys. Two are coming out. And I just wonder, Dakota Joshua, the coach got on him in the preseason, 10 games in when things are going well. He's been on him again here. Where's this one headed, I guess? And they've got so much good going on around them right here, right now. But, I just, is Dakota Joshua becoming an odd man out? I know it was just one healthy scratch, but I do think when Blueger gets back in there, because Teddy Blueger kills penalties. Like if Dakota Joshua is not scoring and he's not being physical and his only contribution is as a penalty killer, well, your replacement's waiting in the wings and he's coming into this lineup sooner rather than later. So I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see where this goes with Dakota Joshua.
The ability to throttle down some of that ice time late was really handy too, probably for those guys that are.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like, I mean, from early on, you were able to load manage guys throughout the game. I got two more, Jeff. Should they have challenged the San Jose goal on goaltender interference for the sake of Thatcher Demko shutout?
In the moment, I kind of screamed, challenge it for that very reason, that you owe it to a guy who has been lights out good for you. Getting the optics as well, that, I mean, it just kind of felt like it would be piling on. When I watched the replay, I'm not sure that they would have won the challenge. And I know Tocchet said after the game that was his thinking, that he wasn't convinced that they were going to win the challenge. And
I think it was 50-50. Yeah. I think
goaltender interference always feels like,
right.
You just never know. So throw the dart at the dartboard. But look, I was a little surprised that they had their first unit power play out there at 6-0, but they did. And we know that Connor McDavid didn't like that on opening night. And I mean, the Canucks can't worry too much about the opponents. If the Sharks don't like it, play better. It's as simple as that. But I guess I felt it would have been a little bit of piling on if they had gone for the goaltender challenge. That said, California boy, his family got lots of TV time. I can get it. He had the shutout against the Blues. He only had one shutout last year. He was minutes away from his second shutout already this season in the first month of the season. So, there's reasons for both sides, but I think I understand where Tocchet was coming from, that they see the Sharks a bunch more. The Sharks are down. To me, it would have felt a little bit like kicking them when they were down.
Lastly, Jeff, obviously we had our big announcement yesterday that Sekeres Price, Rinkwide, and Go-Goat Sports joining forces with the Nation Network and Playmaker Capital. And some of that affects you. For those who missed it, let them know what you'll be up to with Canucks Army and Canucks Conversation.
Yeah, I think it was a great day for all of us. And Nation Network has an incredible track record of supporting local sports on the ground in a number of key markets in this country. And now we're under that umbrella as well. And so looking forward to the partnership and the resources that they'll put in play. And so hopefully that will help us build out the brand of Rinkwide Vancouver. Will continue to do post-game pods after each and every game, and you guys will be a part of that. And we'll have some other special guests as well as we go through the season. So we're off and running, and so are the Vancouver Canucks, and it's been fun, giving us lots of material to work with almost every night out so far through the first 10. And as part of the partnership as well, bringing all of my written work under the umbrella too. So had been doing some contributions at the Hockey News to start the season, but there's just some synergies at play here. I was already writing a column at Canucks Army, and now all of my written work. So we're still kind of nailing out figuring out the details of how much and when and all that kind of stuff. A Sunday column, certainly, and then written contributions throughout the week. So it's kind of nice to have all of my work under the same umbrella, and just looking forward to, we've already got something good going, and I think this will help us take it all to new heights.
Well, we'll be listening Saturday for Rinkwide after the Canucks and Stars. Thanks for this, Jeff.
All right, guys. Thank you.
This Sekeres Price clip brought to you by
Jason Mortgage.